Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'll be covering every studio song the band has recorded and every bonus track that I can find. Each week we'll go over a new song from the beginning to where they are currently, and as they keep adding albums, I'll keep adding shows. Let the deep dive party begin.
In the magic garden, some were singing, some were dancing.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. We are covering the album Different Light, and we are nearing the end of the season already. Gosh, this is another one that just seems to have flown by so quickly, but we are into the bonus tracks now, and this one is called Stand Back, and here it is. Okay, so off the bat, as always, there's something interesting to talk about in the intro of Uriah Heep songs. And here, what's missing, but really kind of works, is there's no rhythm guitar track. So we have Mick just playing lead on this. We have the keyboards are able to be heard a little bit better because they're not competing for that space. And we're hearing some just nice, strong chords on the pads on the keys. We've got a great tight rhythm section, just some straight eighth notes from Trevor and a solid beat from Lee. And we are off to a good start. Well, this verse started off on a higher note than I had expected from where we were in the introduction. So that was a very interesting thing. Bernie sounds fantastic, just delivering it full force. Love the grit in his voice on this one. Just sounds really, it just adds that layer of power and passion to it. And I know I use those words a lot, but they seem to fit Bernie very, very well. Really good solid beat through this, and nice opening of just air in this song. So you've got some Hammond fill-ins that you could hear. You've got Mick playing, but there's a lot of open room to let the vocals shine through. I still think they're slightly quiet, but just because now they're competing more with the bass and drums. But I like that you could hear everything, and that they're leaving that room in there. It sounds good. Maybe it's just me and I missed something, but I don't think I heard any guitars in that chorus. Now, it's very possible that there are some chords that Mick is playing that just blend right in with the keyboards and aren't shining through, but I'm not hearing anything in that distorted field that I usually hear. So unless it's blended, I can't exactly say what the guitars are doing, but I do love the keyboards. I think they're really shining through nice and bright here and just have a really nice blend with Bernie's voice. The other thing too, though, is that this isn't a very fast tempo. I mean, it's an up-tempo song, but not a fast tempo, but it just seems to have a little bit of an extra push to it. And I can't really pinpoint what it is. It's not the tempo, but it feels like it's got another push in the drive of the song. And I'm not quite nailing down why I'm feeling that way, but it's very interesting. I really like it. Well, I don't know if this was a literal reference or not, but is this song about the Zodiac killer? If it is, that's pretty interesting. I mean, certainly a fascinating subject when you get into some of these serial killers' minds and why they do what they do. And I don't think the Zodiac killer was ever caught, if I remember right. But interestingly, If it is, I'll just tell you this story. A friend of mine, back in the days of the Zodiac Killer, she was walking home with her friend. They parted ways. The Zodiac Killer killed her friend. And had she continued along that path, you never know. Would the Zodiac Killer have killed her friend? Would he have killed them both? Would he have said, okay, that's too many people. I need to isolate one? I mean, who knows? But very interesting subject matter just the same. And of course, nowadays, these true crime podcasts and things are really, really popular. And certainly, I'm sure that the Zodiac Killer has been given a lot of spotlight on these different podcasts. I haven't heard one talk about him, but certainly there's an element of mystery because, like I said, I don't think they ever caught him. If it's not about the Zodiac Killer, just never mind. So this is a very different song for Uriah Heep, as we've been heading more into guitar-based riffs and things. It's really the keyboards that are shining through in this song. We're hearing in this last section, which I guess would be the real chorus, we're hearing a few notes from Mick, and then I'm not hearing anything after that until that part repeats again and he plays those notes again. Now, that could be very intentional. It could be that the guitar is just being used more for effect, and the keyboards are really more the lead instrument. But it sounds good. It's just a little bit different from what we're used to hearing, because normally we would hear that rhythm track from Mick, and then we would have another track that does some fillers, and possibly a second track or lead track as well. So it's definitely a different change for them. But then again, this is a different world. Now, I am hearing a couple of different keyboards. We've got the organ sound, which is nice and strong and really the foundation for what we're hearing. But there's also another synth that's just playing a few notes. It's a little higher ranged, more of a pad. And I really like that. It's very gently laid in there. But if you're focused on it, you can hear it. Sounds really good, just kind of following the vocal melody. For as straightforward as Lee has played on some of the songs on this album, I have to say this included, for the most part, he's really keeping the beat. He's being a very solid metronome. But when he comes out of that, he really comes out of that. And the last two transitions that we've heard, there's been a couple of great fills here, really powerful. And they don't have to be, these grandiose things that start, a half a measure before a normal fill would start. They're just ones that he's placing them right where a fill would start, but just making some powerful decisions that really make for a great transition. And I really like that. I'm really torn on whether I would call that a solo or a lead. It seems more like a lead to me. He's playing the melody of the song and not really deviating from that. So I'd say it's more of a lead than an actual solo, even though it's really like where a guitar solo would go and the guitar is featured in that particular part. I really love that transition back into the chorus, though. I think that was killer. definitely unexpected and kind of felt a little awkward. But they've done that a couple times on this album where they've really come up with some interesting dynamics to throw in there and kind of, make you not really feel like you know where the song is going. Well, there's a interesting and unique low voice following Stand Back, also just repeating the word Stand Back. Very deep, almost like it has an Austrian accent to it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Arnold Schwarzenegger in that, low voice that he has and the accent a little bit. But it's very unique because while we've heard Heep go to the low vocal a couple of times, it's not a trick that they use very often. And so it's always refreshing when we do hear it. And it adds, a little bit of spice to the song. What I really love about Bernie's voice in these sections of the songs is that no matter if he's repeating it or just doing, some vocalizing over top of the chorus, you just feel that energy coming from him, that he's in the moment with the song. And it's almost like he's living it out in his head while he sings. And I think that helps bring about just such a very powerful and believable delivery.
It's a funny old world, but different.
And another unexpected surprise from Uriah Heep in a song, which, I've just come to expect that I'm going to hear something I can't really guess is going to happen. I'm not sure exactly whose voice that was. I would imagine it was probably Bernie's. But, there were some really good changes in the last bit of that were subtle, dropping out the vocals, changing the backups a little bit, and then double time on the drums. And it had a really good fade out. I thought that was right about perfect. Not too fast, started at a good point. And another well done song by the band. I really like this one. I think it seems to me, if I'm following the lyrics properly, and I'm not good at that all the time, but it seems to me this is really being sung from the part of the Zodiac Killer, if it is indeed about the Zodiac Killer, and almost like he's announcing himself and saying, hey, I warned you. And that's my interpretation of it. But musically, it's great. It's really interesting. The placement of the guitar, very different from most of the Heep songs that we've heard on this and most recent albums, where the guitar has become a little bit dominant. But it's nice to have one where maybe the guitar draws back a little bit and gives the keyboards a chance to shine through and run things. Overall, though, I would say another great song, very powerful rhythm section as always. And, this band, they just know how to perform. That's really all I can say. I hope that you guys enjoyed this song and this show. We'll see you in the next one for our last song in Different World. Cheers. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider going over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast outlet, leaving a rating or a review. Be sure to subscribe to make sure that you are notified when new episodes are available. Please be sure to share this podcast with your fellow Uriah Heep enthusiasts and anyone who you think would like Uriah Heep, which should be everyone. And And if you are so inclined, please feel free to contribute to the Patreon account. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can also pay through the PayPal link on the website listed in the show links below. I would also like to thank Uriah Heep for their very generous support of the show, and thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next episode.
Happy days!